What do you get when you mix baseball and football?
Play ball.
Base footballs?
No. This is Bunts and Bruises. If it's the weekly hot topics in sports, we're talking about it.
We're talking about it.
And we're having fun. Your home for sports and entertainment. We're the best at rolling with the punches. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. This is Bunts and Bruises. And here's your host, Bars.
It's a beautiful night. Talk about sports. Is I, the one, the only, the Don of baseball Bars, and I'm here with Jake the Snake. How you doing today, bud?
Oh, fantastic, my friend. I'm super excited. How are you doing, buddy? Have things been good in your part?
Oh, doing great, living life, Either way, I'm excited, man. And for some reason, it feels like we haven't had a show in forever. It's only been a week, but it feels like it's been months. I don't know why. I'm excited. We here, favorite day of the week. Unfortunately, nothing really happened on the Bruises end. There's no football, but we got some good baseball talk to talk about. And honestly, we haven't talked about baseball in quite some time. So I'm excited to get into it. We're gonna preview a new segment today. It's called 2 Up, 2 Down. We're gonna start off with that. We're gonna get a little into the New York baseball scene because there's a lot going on. It's gonna be a hot summer in New York. Let me tell you, with the way everything's going. And then
real hot summer, baby.
We're gonna end it with real or not. Other than that, Jake, how you doing, bud? It's been a good minute.
It has been a minute. Like you said, dude, it feels like kind of forever. So I'm happy to be back. Like this is exciting stuff. It's been an exciting baseball year, and like you said, it's gonna be hot. The Mets look great. The Yankees look great. When both of those two teams are on fire, baseball's fun to watch. Let me tell you right now, it's fun to watch. There are a lot of good teams. So
yeah, man. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. Let's go ahead and start with the new segment, 2 Up, 2 Down. I want you to go ahead just to explain it to the people. I want you to give me one team that's up, they're your most surprising, and one player that's your most surprising right now. So who's your 2 Up, Jake?
My 2 Up. I'm going to start with, I think, who should be the big man on campus around the MLB once again, my 41-year-old Justin Verlander. This man hasn't played baseball in, 2 years?
Yeah.
Coming back from Tommy John, pandemic year, whatever it was. Justin Verlander is entrenched in the Cy Young race this year. In 51.2 innings pitched, he is 6-1. He has a 1.22 ERA, 49 strikeouts. He's only allowed 9 walks, only allowed 28 hits, and he has 6 quality starts under his belt. Has this man found the fountain of youth? What don't I know?
What's really crazy about Justin Verlander doing so good to me also is he was low-key one of the people that was always getting mentioned during this whole sticky stuff situation that happened last year. Because apparently everyone was thinking he was a part of it because once he came to Houston, he found the fountain of youth, just like you said. And people were wondering, hey, is he going to, besides the injury, is he going to come back and look even worse now? Because the injury on top of now he doesn't have the sticky stuff to help to control. And he's just proving everybody wrong right now because everybody and their mother were saying he should be the guy on the front page of this whole sticky stuff situation. The only reason he was able to, fade away into the smoke was because of the injury. But yeah, man, Justin Verlander, he gets it done. Simple as that.
Yeah.
I was a little worried about the Astros pitching this year, but he showed me why not to be. You got him. You got Franmil as your number 2. Luis Garcia is looking hot this year as well. The back end of the rotation isn't looking as good, but they got something here, and it's all anchored by Justin Verlander. It's definitely surprising me as well.
Yeah, I don't think to start this year anybody had Justin Verlander pegged to be the Cy Young or even anywhere near that contention, especially around this time of year. But to me, right as of right now, I know it's still early. We're having an all-star break, but it's his to lose. All right, these numbers and what he's doing, it's really his to lose. And I don't know about what it is in Houston, what they got going on down there and how they're able to kind of develop pitchers and keep them maintained for so long. They've had such a rich history of doing it in recent memory. This is just kind of out of this world, he's putting up numbers that DeGrom was putting up last year, if not better. And he's got the offense to back him. So this is phenomenal. He's in a phenomenal situation. I think he's going to continue to have a great year, bearing any injuries or kind of stamina or fatigue, he's 41 years old. He will see some stamina or fatigue. I guarantee he'll miss a couple starts eventually. But as right now, 51 innings pitched and 6-1 record. I mean, yikes.
Yeah, and I love how you mentioned he's got the 51 innings pitched because the strikeouts are actually only 49, which is very different than what we're used to seeing from Justin Verlander. He usually is blowing way past the innings pitched of his amount of strikeouts. Like, for example, his last healthy year, he had 300 strikeouts against 223 innings pitched. It's almost like he reinvented himself after this injury. It's what people thought he was going to lose the control without the sticky stuff. It's almost like he has more control, the spin rate, whatever it might be. What do you think is part of this formula right now that's just making it happen? Because that 1.22 ERA, we haven't seen that since 2017 when they won it. And he didn't win the Cy Young that year, but he won it the very next year.
Yeah, it's insane. I don't have words to honestly describe this kind of season he's having so far. I wish I knew and I could give these tips and tricks of what he's doing to kind of get these outcomes and this kind of performance, because it's insane. I mean, he's so good. He's phenomenal, and the deal he's on right now for them is such a steal. So this was a great job done by the Astros and a great job done by Justin Verlander for sure.
Yeah, man, for sure. Just to wrap it up on Justin Verlander, it's definitely imagine getting a third Cy Young, man. Just that puts you
at 41,
at
41 years old,
puts you a whole different air of just greatness right
yeah,
there.
right. Oh my God.
Insane. But so my person is someone who is looking for their first Cy Young award, and they potentially could get it this year. The only knock against them is how many innings they usually go. They've gone a couple innings deeper than usual this season, but you'd like to see them go a little deeper. And that's Nestor Cortez of the New York Yankees. See, Yankees fans, I'm not the biggest hater. I got you guys over here. I mean, I was a fan last year of Nestor. He was a surprise last year of how he wasn't great, but he was good. And towards the end of the season, he was great. So could you see this coming? Yeah, kind of, but not to this extent. We're talking about a guy who is he's only 3-1, but he has a 1.8 ERA, 45 innings pitched, and what he has against Verlander is he has those 56 strikeouts right there. So it's just the way he pitches is just unique, man. It's different, and that's why they call him Nasty Nestor. He's got everything working for him. We just want to see those innings go a little deeper. Other than that, I'm all here for the stash, man. What do you think about Nestor?
Yeah, fear the stash. I'm a believer. He's fun to watch. Baseball, there's just some players that just kind of have this like vibe or energy to them. You know what I mean? He's one of those players, and when he's out there, he's fun to watch. He's a competitor. He wants to win, and I can't say enough. Fear the stash. You know what I mean? Just fear it. Nasty Nestor I think is not, like you said, not somebody really, really expected to be this good, but I think he's kind of here to stay. And with the offense that's behind him, I think he could easily get 18 wins this year. And I you know what I mean? I think that's got almost lowballing it with how good he has been, but he's only had 3 so far. So that's the knock right now. But if he finishes 15-6, this is a great year for him, and somewhere that the Yankees can look as a pillar for their starting rotation going on in the future.
And the great thing about it is, coming into the season, you were thinking he was going to be like your number 3 pitcher, realistically. And he's over here outdueling your number 1 pitcher and Garrett Cole with the way he's been pitching. So just Nestor Cortez with that offense, like you said, and they're, as much as I hate to admit it, foot meet mouth, because I said I thought their team got worse. Their defense is looking phenomenal. So you put those two things together, and Nestor Cortez has, like I said, just add the innings, man, and I don't see how he doesn't win this Cy Young award. So aside from, we went from the old vet to the younger pitcher. Now we're going to go straight to the teams. What team do you have that's surprising you the most? Is it one of our classical teams, or is it like a young up-and-coming team?
I'd say the team in the middle, and definitely not a classical team, definitely a team in the middle. The Minnesota Twins. Standing right now 27-17, the top of their division. A very weak division, I must say, which plays into their favor. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games. At the beginning of the offseason, they had tough luck, I think, and they struck out when they traded Trevor Rogers for Chris Paddock and Emilio Pagan. Paddock has played the third player in that deal, has had Tommy John, and Emilio Pagan has been okay at best. So far, their pitching has been sneaky good. I would say they have a combined 6th lowest ERA in the league. Joe Ryan, who looks like an all-star and the future ace for them, has a 2.28 ERA. He's 5-2, 42 Ks. Ober, who's the third man in the rotation, 2.5 ERA in 24 innings pitched, 20 Ks. Sonny Gray, 2.6 ERA, 27 innings pitched, 2-1, 35 Ks. So they have good rotation. They have Byron Buxton, who has 24 runs scored, 11 home runs, 21 RBIs, hitting .202. Max Kepler's got a 1.7 WAR with 20 runs scored, 6 homers, 22 RBIs. Correa has been underachieving. And it's interesting because when you bring in, for a lot of people that don't know, and like analytics obviously is very driven in baseball. And for a lot of people that don't know, when you're having a batting average, when you step up to the plate, you go to a crossroads. And when you start that plate appearance with a strike first pitch, your batting average drops to 211. Now, when you start that at bat with a first pitch ball, your batting average raises to 251. The league average batting average is 244. Now, the Twins are seeing a one ball more than any other team this season in 700 plate appearances. The next team is the Yankees at 600 and I think 450, which is almost 2 games worth of at-bats more. So they're doing this better than anybody in baseball, and that's what's leading to their success. Do I think it's sustainable? No. But they are my biggest surprise, and that's with Carlos Correa and I think Byron Buxton both underachieving as players.
Yeah, man. They really are surprised because you could have swore they were going to see the bottom of this division. You had the Tigers, you had the Royals. Well, not really the Royals, but you had the Tigers. They're young and upcoming team that we both thought going into the season were going to be up there fighting, if not for the top of the division, somewhere for that 2-3 spot for sure. You got the White Sox, who've just been disappointing this season, if we're being honest, experiencing the injury bug once again. They got to check something out there with their strength and conditioning. And then you got Cleveland right in the middle, where you thought they were going to be. But the Twins at the top is nowhere what you expected, especially 27 wins right now. At this point in the season, they almost are at 30 wins. And that's with Carlos Correa underperforming, like you said. So imagine if Carlos Correa was actually playing, and Byron Buxton had a slow start as well for the season to begin. You mentioned,
well, it's interesting because Byron Buxton's in a huge slump right now. He's only hitting 202.
Exactly.
I think over the last 2 weeks, he has one hit and 27 at bats or something odd like that. He's not playing well.
He's up and down though. When he's hot, he's hot.
Oh, when he's hot, he'll carry your team offensively.
So you mentioned Joe Ryan and the stellar season he's having. This is where I think they are the surprise, but I think this is the downfall where it starts because they actually just lost Joe Ryan to the COVID list today, I believe it was, if not yesterday. So this is right now the first domino. Let's see if they could keep it up because they could keep it up without him. That's really going to show me something. But then again, the Twins are always like this, aren't they? They kind of surprise us. They're looking like a great regular season team, but then the moment the playoffs come, they don't got the pitching. And it's very obvious they don't have the pitching for any type of playoff run. And that's when they get blown out by the Yankees. They're mainly a home run team, it feels like, because they do play small ball well, but it's mainly the bombs. And the fact that you got to put the bombs plus the seeing that one extra ball in their count, you're better with this because you were a baseball player. I'm just, I watch from the sidelines. They say if you can't do it, you coach it. So I'm
you teach.
So what's it called, Jake? So explain a little bit more of that because that's something I always found interesting that you really don't understand as a fan unless you played the game of where your pitch count is and how great it helps you in the series because it also changes how the pitcher throws to you as well. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, I mean, it changes everything. When you're going to an at-bat, you have a game plan of what you're looking to try to do. And the thing about baseball is it's a game that's taking one pitch at a time. And every single thing changes every single time a pitch is thrown. Every opportunity, every outcome changes almost immediately the moment that pitch is thrown. So like I said, when you're seeing a first pitch strike, your batting average is raising above the league average. You're now ahead, or when you're throwing a first pitch ball, your average is now above the league batting average in the MLB. You're seeing more pitches. you're making the pitcher throw more pitches, which is kind of what you want to do as a game plan as a team to get them out of there faster. But it changes everything up for you. You become more aggressive as a hitter now. The pitcher now has become more aggressive and throw you strikes rather than throwing you balls. They're not just going to walk you. That's not the goal. You know what I mean? They're looking to get you out. And so when you're going down a pitch or a ball, so when you're going down a strike, now you as a hitter now have to be more aggressive and have to be more in tune to play, willing to take more risks. And it's more of a risk kind of developed thing. So it's honestly not something I wholeheartedly understand, because analytics is something that is very confusing. It is an exact science that hopefully one day I can kind of divulge further and learn a little bit more. But it's a game of numbers, and like I said, baseball is taking one pitch at a time.
Yeah, man. See, that's where the analytics come in and it gets all crazy, and where teams like the Astros, Tampa, and hopefully now our New York Mets, with the way we're looking, just start building off on that. And that's just what excites me about baseball. It's just how crazy it is, how many different outcomes. It's almost like Doctor Strange when he's standing there just seeing everything that can happen. But without further ado, my surprise team, they're surprising me at how well they're doing, but they're not that much of a surprise, because if you look back at the episode or preseason review with me, you, and Jerg, when we did the World Series draft, I picked this team a little higher than either of you would have picked them, and that is the LA Angels. They are 27-18 right now, and like I said, it's just all fitting perfectly. It's showtime. You got Mike Trout being Mike Trout. Their pitching is actually pitching. They're pitching. Simple as that. They're not anything amazing, but they're getting the job done. And that was an issue that was always in LA. And right now, with the way that division's looking, there's no competition there aside from the Astros, and they're right there nipping at their heels, only 2 games back. And right now, they are a first wild card, tied for the first wild card in the entire AL. So, man, it's great.
Yeah, you called it, dude. You definitely called it with Mike Trout. And don't forget about, don't hold your breath, but Anthony Rendon is looking like a baseball player once again.
It's up and down. It's up and down.
It's up and down, but he's hitting the ball.
He hit the side of a barn now.
Years.
Yes.
That's, like I said, don't hold your breath. Do not hold your breath, because this might come back to bite me, But Anthony Rendon looks like, I'm not saying the former All-Star he was, but he's looking better. Taylor Ward, their leadoff hitter, is having a phenomenal year. Do I think that will continue throughout the year? Maybe not, probably not. But when you're hitting in front of Mike Trout, Ohtani, and Rendon, and they're going to throw somebody the ball. They need to pitch to somebody, and it's going to be Ward. So he's crushed the ball, and hopefully that'll continue for them. But like you said, the big thing is the pitching. Ohtani's been great. Syndergaard's been great. You know what I mean? Their bullpen's been solid, which wasn't a strength coming into the year. So this is a scary. Could become a very scary team come playoff time.
Man, it's. I hope so, man, because we need Mike Trout in the playoffs. It's as simple as that. It's not even the Angels. I just want to see Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani in the playoffs, and then Noah Syndergaard as well, because we've seen Noah in the playoffs. So, and like I said, I didn't mention him in the beginning, but Rafael Iglesias, he's arguably, alongside with Josh Hader at the moment, arguably one of the best closers in the game. It's one of the other two. They're exchangeable with the heat these guys throw. So it's just, I'm happy to see it, man. Fingers crossed we could have the Los Angeles Angels in the playoffs. But aside from that, let's get in a little bit more of a negative note. That's usually how we talk when we're mentioning the Angels. Thank God it's a positive tune. But someone has to be disappointing. So who is your first player that is your 2 down?
This is something I honestly didn't see coming, and I had really high hopes this player. But Bobby Witt Jr., who was someone I believe when we did our early season predictions for awards, I believe one of us pegged him as the Rookie of the Year. And if it wasn't you, it would have been me. And the reason I wouldn't have taken him is because you did. So as of right now, Bobby Witt is hitting .222 with 9 doubles, 5 home runs, 18 RBIs, 20 runs scored. Very mediocre numbers. I know he's not on a good team. He has no one hitting around him. But Merrifield's been a very disappointing year. And they're a disappointing team, the Royals. But as a player that was coming so highly regarded as the number one prospect in baseball, and what you heard from the scouts, what he was doing in preseason, this is just disappointing on all levels, on all facets for a lot of baseball fans. I was excited for this kid. I thought he was going to be great. I thought he was going to be fun to watch. Yeah. Talent on a small market team. You know what I mean? So this hurts. This hurts, especially as I was a Royal fan. This is disappointing. This is something that should be firmly entrenched in the Rookie of the Year award race, but he is to be at the bottom of the list, right? Nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, man. It's really shocking. It kind of has this Jared Kalinick feel. Because that's another guy who came in with all this crazy hype because he's just literally crushing the ball. Both of them hitting like over 300. It was almost like their average in the minor leagues was like 340, I think. Both of them, and both 5-tool players. And they were both supposed to be like Wander Franco, just rolling right onto the stage, no problem. And yes, third base, shortstop is a difficult position to play, but man, he just hasn't looked good. It's as simple as that. He can't hit the ball. He couldn't hit the ball if he tried. And you got to wonder, is it he's having an issue seeing the ball, or is he trying to change up his stance, what was working for him in the minor league? And it's almost like the Detroit Tigers situation that we mentioned last week with Kenton. It's the opposite, where Miggy was the one shining hope. Bobby Witt Jr., like you said, was the one shining hope for this Royals team that maybe could have made them relevant because they have some tools, some players, man. Some tool pieces are there. You just need to add a couple other, you need the key pieces, and he was supposed to be one of those key pieces. So you got to wonder, do the Royals got to take a step back and realize this rebuild is going to take a lot longer than expected?
I mean, I definitely think it's going to take longer than expected for them. Especially with Bobby Witt, I mean, just not being where they thought he was as a prospect, as a player. Like you said, Jared Kalinick, he actually just demoted. You know, I don't see that's going to happen for Bobby Witt. They'll keep him up there all year. He's playing a little more shortstop lately. And like you said, they have good pieces. They have Mondesi, they have Bobby Witt with Merrifield, Benintendi. They have some good pieces there. But I do think it'll be a little longer than they probably expected. But I'm not saying Bobby Witt was going to make them a contender or a playoff team or even in the hunt team, but he would have brought a lot more excitement for a franchise that needs it.
For sure. Just, what really it's just hurts about this is you got to really wonder as a Royals fan, is he going to be Jared Kalinick next year? Like, what if he doesn't figure it out at all? Like,
better hope not.
Exactly. Like, that puts you in an even deeper hole. So the one player I have that is a disappointment. My one down is Trevor Story. Yes, was I expecting Trevor Story to be an amazing player? No, but I was expecting him to give us an average season, 270 with 25 plus home runs and 90 RBIs with a couple steals. He doesn't steal the ball like he once used to, but still, he has just been god awful with the Boston Red Sox. He's batting 224 and 168 plate appearances. He has 51 strikeouts, so he's not striking out like he usually does. But the home runs are low. It's at 8. RBIs are at 33. He's not getting the job done. Simple as that. And that's that he's playing second base. So now you got to wonder, is that what's throwing him off after playing shortstop? Because we've seen the same ththing happen with Gleyber Torres when he went from second base to shortstop. He couldn't hit the ball for anything. Literally, his whole prospect, he was another upcoming great that was supposed to walk on the field. And now after that defensive switch, it's almost like he can't see the ball. So you got to wonder, is this happening for Trevor Story? Or is it more he's just getting old and kind of beat up?
I don't know. I think his numbers were always a little padded playing in Colorado, for sure. And the Boston Red Sox have been a very underachieving team this year with that juggernaut of an offense and Devers, JD Martinez, Bogarts, and now Story on top of that. Like, he should be hitting a lot better. He should be hitting a little more for average. But they knew what they were getting themselves into, which was a high strikeout guy, a guy that was going to swing for the big fences. And as of late, he's been on a little bit of a home run surge. Boston Red Sox have been surging up. So I don't think this downward spiral will continue. I do think his numbers will rise. I don't think he'll bat above 240 for the year. But I still think he could possibly hit 30 home runs, 80 RBIs, 22 doubles. That's kind of where I'm seeing. That's That's pretty good. It's not what you wanted as a Red Sox fan. I think that's also a deterrent. Playing in Boston is not like the most media in the world, but it's a lot more than some other teams, and they're not easy fans to kind of please. So when you're not worth that money that they're paying you, they're gonna let you know it. So hopefully he can turn it around, especially before the All-Star break. That'd be really good for Boston, especially when they're in the battle. They want to compete with New York. They want to compete with the Blue Jays and the Rays for a playoff spot, because that division, if you're not winning in the division, you're not winning it. You're not making the playoffs there. So it's a
Yeah, man. And I've said it before. For what you're paying him, it's 6 years, 140 mil, which breaks down to 23-ish mil. I'll throw some change in there. You got to wonder, is that going to affect you in re-signing Bogarts? Because, maybe they signed him just for when Bogart leaves, you throw him there in shortstop. So you want to see better numbers from him, aside from the fact that you're paying him, just because you don't know what the future holds. And you really need this key signing of the offseason to be something. It almost feels like they signed him just to keep him away from the other competitors on the AL East, such as the Yankees or the Blue Jays, to put him at second as well. So you want to see him be a piece that fits, and that 224, it's unacceptable considering his averages between 280 and 270.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Red Sox got FOMO. To be honest, I got that they thought they were missing out with how crazy this offseason was. Yeah, everyone was signing players. The Yankees stood pat, which was interesting for them. They just kind of re-signed Anthony Rizzo, but it's interesting. I think, like I said, I think they just kind of were just missing out, and they was like, let's have some fun, let's compete this year, And they thought that was going to make it for them, and it unfortunately hasn't really worked out or panned out the way they wanted to. And I think down the line, it's eventually going to affect Xander Bogaerts. He's not happy right now, and he said the contract talks are in stall right now, so we'll see what happens. It's an interesting situation to keep an eye on.
Oh, for sure. Just because of all those pieces going on, that's why the Boston Red Sox are currently fourth in the division, while the aforementioned Yankees are all the way at the top of the division. But aside from the Yankees, the other team across the bridge, is also on top of the division. That is the New York Mets. Both teams, top of their division, running baseball right now. Actually, arguably, the Mets are our win percentage is under. So we're the second best team in the NL, but that's all right. Regardless of that, though, what's really affecting both teams as of late is it seems to be the injury bug bouncing around in New York, Jake. You got multiple players dropping like flies, no pun intended. DJ LeMahieu just isn't starting today. He had some wrist injury yesterday, which brings me to this one point, which I find really interesting. The Yankees earlier today signed Matt Carpenter, and he's actually playing today at DH for them.
He's playing?
He is playing tonight at DH for them. So now that I mentioned that DJ injury, does that concern you a little bit? Because in my head, seeing that signing and knowing what DJ plays, because at this point, DJ is your starting second baseman, but is he the starting second baseman? I don't even know. He rotates everywhere, but that's the point. Is he's a utility man. He plays second, he plays first, he plays third. He could DH. You could throw him even at the outfield. Realistically, he wouldn't be great out there, but you could do it because he's a baseball player. I've said this many times before. Your father used to say it all the time. He loves to play ball. So aside from that, Matt Carpenter is a ball player, and he plays he used to play. Well, depending where.
He's played all over the infield.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, it's interesting with him, like you're saying. I don't know if it's room to be worried about DJ LeMahieu. I would kind of be more worried about like Isaiah Canalfe. I forgot how to say his name, but I'd be more worried about him and him not performing where they thought he was when they were trading Gary Sanchez and Urshel for Josh Donaldson. Like I said, they need depth behind Donaldson, Torres. They need someone that can also play first base and kind of DH. Matt Carpenter fills that role. He's a veteran. He's played on a lot of winning teams. He wasn't a former All-Star. So I would be more worried about that. I think LeMahieu eventually will come back healthy and be fine and be a contributor like he always has been. But I thought it was a good signing. I mean, it makes sense for me. Like I said, you need the depth piece. You want the extra hitter there. And he's a pro. He's a veteran. He's going to come in day one, no attitude, ready to go, ready to commit to that franchise. So this is a smart signing. And like you said, the injury bugs have been all over town. And this isn't something the Mets or the Yankees aren't used to. It's something we've known for being with Jacob deGrom and dealing with Noah Syndergaard and Zach Wheeler and all this. We know the injury bug very, very well. So I'm more worried for the Mets coming out of. So as of right now, the Mets are, like you said, 29-17. And the last 10, out of their last 10, they're 6-4. They're 7 games ahead right now of the Braves. After the next 6 games, which is a homestand against 3 games against Phillies, 3 against the Nats, they play 13 games against the Dodgers on the road, the Padres on the road, the Angels on the road, and then the Brewers at home.
Yeah,
that's what scares me. I don't think a 7-game lead ahead of a hot Dodgers team, a Phillies team that's catching on a little bit, that's their offensive pitchers starting to figure it out. I don't think that's enough of a lead in their division to kind of feel safe about. I'm more worried about the Mets after this. We're playing 4 of the top teams in baseball, 4 of the hottest teams in baseball.
Yep.
With, as a rotation right now, it looks like Chris Bassett, Taijuan Walker, Carlos Carrasco, David Peterson. Those are the 4 that we know they're in the rotation. Medjugorje has been cleared to throw. He might be throwing a bullpen at the end of this week. That'll help. But as of right now, Thomas Sall's package got lit up. Mm-hmm. There's not many options. Would I be, if I'm the Mets, I wouldn't panic. I wouldn't look to move any pieces. It's too early for that. But around the All-Star break, I don't know how much of a lead in this division we will have if we can't get our pitching healthy, if we can't find people to throw us quality games. I'm not saying quality starts, quality games.
See, I agree with you on several points, but what I don't agree with is we might be able to hold it down, man. It might just be the positive, like I'm trying to look at the optimism in it, but we're used to this situation, but normally we don't have the depth to survive this situation. This year we have the depth to survive this situation. People forget Chris Bassett last year was in the Cy Young contention until he caught a line drive straight to the jaw and took him out for the season. He is, yes, he's having a shaky season so far, but when he's on, he is on, let me tell you. So aside from Jock Peterson, rocking him at that day, he was having a great day that day, 2 nights ago. So Bassett is, that's an ace at your 3, fingers crossed. DeGrom's coming back in a month, they say. I think he's going to start throwing again. So I think we can hold it down for a month. But what worries me a little more than the pitching is the combination of the pitching and James McCann being out for a couple extra more weeks, because not only do we not have, I trust Carlos Carrasco. Does he have shaky games? Hell yes, he has shaky games. But at the same time, he has games where he's going to give you the quality start. He might have a bunch of hits, but he'll figure his way out. He puts you in situations where you're sweating, but he figures it out. He's looking more like the pitcher he was in Cleveland than the pitcher he was here last year. Taijuan Walker, he's looking, he's not looking as good as last year, but he's still better than we've had in the past when we've had injuries like this that would take us out for the season. Because at this point, we would have suffered. Once Max Scherzer went down, we would have usually gone in a downward spiral of like losing 15 games straight because all our pitchers are exhausted, our bullpen's exhausted. And like you said, McGill's coming back. So aside from in-house, we don't need a panic because there's also like just a plethora of pitchers out there that we could really get in return if we wanted. The price wouldn't even be too high. I mean, look at Luis Castillo in the Reds. He's not having a great season. I'm sure you bring him to an organization like this. We've seen it time and time again where a pitcher is terrible because the team's terrible. The moment you bring him to get some run support and some actual defense, analytics start clicking, and you see the Doctor Strange situation of the superheroes winning and him becoming an Avenger. So, I could see something happening, man, where even the A's still have Frankie Montas. They're giving.
Well, I find it's interesting because, like, in this debate, like, go to cross town. These are all Frankie Montas, Tyler Mahle, Luis Castillo. These are all options that the Yankees are also looking at because they need somebody to solidify the bottom of their lineup. Because once we get Max and Jacob deGrom back and everyone else is healthy, we have 6 pitchers, 6 starters that are going to give you innings, that are going to give you good games. The Yankees don't have that. They have Garrett Cole. They have Nasty Nestor, like we said earlier. They have Luis Severino, who's been good this year. He's been playing a lot better. But after that, James Talley isn't that great. He's good. He can get you an inning eater. But there's not much more. They don't have much more depth, and they're definitely going to need another pitcher, I think, to kind of last in that division for the full year at the pace they're going. But so it's such an interesting debate depending on whether I like I said, I don't think the Mets should panic. I think that's kind of the debate whether they should panic and kind of buy in right now on somebody. I don't think so. Like you said, we have a lot of people coming back. We just need to make it a month, 2 months. We can survive that and get healthy and get to the playoffs, bearing no other crazy injuries. They're going to be fine. The thing for the Yankees is grabbing one of those pitchers. I think it is their time. It is their time right now to try to get a pitcher buy low right now early, because they do need the depth on the back end of their rotation. They do need another starter. So we'll see what happens. I do think the Yankees offense is a better and more complete offense than the Mets.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't think that can kind of be argued, especially with how well Aaron Judge is hitting. Pete Alonso's hitting great. Lindor's been doing well, but Aaron Judge is at a whole new level right now. He's playing with a legitimate MVP candidate.
See, here's the issue I have for the Yankees, though, is they aren't having as tough a schedule as us, but the next 2 series they got, there's some critical series. They're playing the Rays, and then they got the Angels right after that. 2 of the hottest teams in baseball, as you said. And after that, it gets a lot easier, which is why I'm not as worried for the Yankees, though, because they have a series against the Tigers and the Twins, and then they're home against the Cubs. So they get a nice little break there where they could get healthy and get put back together, because their injuries aren't as serious as the Mets, where ours are a little more long term. They're just more a little banged up at the moment, but at the same time, you start adding those little nick and knacks here, they're looking terrible. The biggest injury I'd say is Chapman hitting the IL, but the way he's been pitching this year, it's not as big a hit as it normally would be. Loizica hitting the IL is probably more of a hit than Chapman this year hitting the IL. So that's really where I'm not worried about it. But then, we got Stanton with his first injury. Now, DJ. Now, I'm pretty sure Aaron Hicks got scratched from the lineup today, which is why Matt Carpenter was batting today. So they're starting to add up on their injuries as well. And once you get those injuries adding up, you start wondering, is the team going to start rushing guys to get back, because they're seeing that, okay, you're almost close to healthy. Let's get you out there because we're struggling a bit. We need you to help out. And that just gets a re-injury right there. Like we had the good doctor on. He always says it. You got to let these little, soft tissue injuries heal up correctly, because if not, it's something you're going to see the whole season, and you're never going to be back to 100%. So that's really the only thing I'm worried about with the Yankees. But due to the fact they got an easier schedule, you got to imagine they're going to let these guys heal up.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the Yankees, I think their biggest, aside from their division, their biggest hurdle this year will be the injury bug and battling and trying to get these guys time off. And I think that'll be their biggest hurdle. Will they have enough depth to get them to the All-Star break and get them healthy? Questionable. Offensively, they'll definitely do it. Either way, even with a few injuries, I still think offensively they'll be there. Pitching-wise, I think obviously is the big question, like I said earlier. But as of right now, the Yankees stand 31-13. They're 6 of their last 4. I'm not too worried injury-wise. I could be more worried about their division, like I was saying. But the Red Sox are getting hot. The Rays are hot. The Blue Jays are going to catch on fire. When they start playing these teams all back-to-back, that's a lot. Those are a lot of hard games. Those are all division games. So I think will be their biggest hurdle, that and the injury bug.
Yeah, after that soft series, after those easy series right there, then they see the Rays, then they see the Blue Jays, then they see the Rays again, then they see the Astros. So that's where they want to heal up with those 3 quick, easy series, because they got a gauntlet after that one. So, I mean, other than that, man, it's really I'm a little concerned for both teams, but I don't see a reason why they're not going to be able to hold their top positions, because the Braves are a little disappointing on the Mets side of things. That's really their only competition in the division, because the Phillies have just been god awful. You got to imagine Joe Girardi's going to get fired any day now, or just if he survives the whole season, I'll be shocked, to be quite honest, unless they turn it around, obviously. But I'm not too concerned, because with the Mets, no matter how injured we are, it's almost like it's a next man up mentality, and that's what you love to see because of Buck Showalter. And the Yankees, as we said, they just got a squad where they are the best team in baseball right now, and I believe they can hold it up as long as they let these guys get fully healthy. Any last thoughts you got on the battle of two cities?
The battle for the city. I would say, in my opinion, the Mets are, I think, they're closer to panicking than the Yankees, mainly because of the big injuries to their big players.
Yeah.
And I think the Yankees offensively are a lot further advanced and have more depth than the Mets do. But I don't see, like you said, I don't see a reason why the Mets can't last and still take this division. So I have a positive outlook for both going forward.
Hey, man, and speaking of positive outlooks, we had a couple teams to wrap this all up. Man, they're doing great, and you got to wonder, is it real? So what team, Jake, do you have as your is it real candidate for the week?
I'm going to go with my biggest surprise team of the Minnesota Twins. Is it real? Is it? I don't think so. I think it's fake. I don't believe I was saying earlier their analytics of seeing so many first pitch balls. I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think Moneyball is sustainable right now at the MLB with their stars kind of not producing the way they want to. I think their pitching is overperforming. This would be my sell on any team. I think it's fake. I don't believe it. If they do go forward and continue to win and continue to kind of dominate at this pace, great for them. I don't think they're legitimate playoff World Series contenders. They might make the playoffs either as a winning the division, but I don't see them as legitimate playoff contenders.
Yeah, man, I just ranted on them earlier. I said it. They're a regular season team. They always fool us. They always have us thinking that this is it. They're looking great. And you know what? Maybe Carlos Correa comes in and, hey, they prove us wrong. Who knows? But I'm just a firm believer they don't got the pitching to make it last a deep run in the playoffs. And quite frank, they don't got the pitching to make it last throughout this entire regular season. So I am with you. I am saying no, no, no. It is not real. So for my squad for is it real? It is. They're like low key my second team because I'm a big fan of like just the pieces they have, and that is the Milwaukee Brewers. I've always talked about how much I'm a big fan of their pitching. You got Brandon Woodruff, who he's not having a great season this year, but he is a stud. You got Corbin Burns. I'm sure Brandon Woodruff is going to figure out, but you got Corbin Burns, who is just pitching the lights out. Cy Young contention, obviously. And then we were trash talking Christian Yelich in the beginning of the season, but his average isn't there. But he's found the power stroke again. He's playing games. It's as simple as that. I thought the back was going to hold him out of a lot of games. So hopefully you'd like to see him get hot and then maybe put it all together. We see the former MVP Christian Yelich, but who knows? Other than that, man, Milwaukee's pitchers, they have the most strikeouts collectively in the league. They got the lowest opposing batting average, and they got the seventh best ERA with a 3.36. So just as always, the pitching is holding this team together. And if the offense could try and keep it up, they're currently ranked 9th in OPS, just right ahead of Houston, which is an offensive juggernaut, as everyone knows. I don't see why they can't end up in the playoffs and, maybe not make a deep run, but hey, I could see them winning a series in the playoffs. They're in the NL Central. Their only competition at the moment is the Cardinals. So I'm all in on the Brewers. I think it is real. Let's see what happens. What do you think?
It's interesting. I think it's real because of their division, because they have a weak division. Like you said, their Cardinals are their only really opponents of them not making the playoffs. And I think they have a better pitching, and I think their offense is just as good, if not comparable. Their defense is nowhere near that. The Cardinals defense is real. They're legit. But their pitching, it's crazy to think that the Brewers pitching is like kind of underperforming almost. Like their starters are almost underperforming. I thought Corbin Burns was going to be leaps and bounds better than he is, and he's already great. Same thing with Brandon Woodruff. So, and like you said, Christian Yelich is hitting the ball. He's looking like an MLB player. He's looking like a respectable MLB player again, which is all they could ask as of right now from him. So I do think it's real. And like I said, I mainly because of the weak division and their great pitching, but I do think this is real as a team to buy in on. Do I think they'll win the World Series this year? Do I think they can contend with the top 5 teams in the MLB? Maybe, maybe not. Their pitching sure can. I don't know if their offense can hang, but their pitching definitely can. And I think that's why I can call them real, and I feel confident in that.
Yeah, man. The only thing that's worrying about me of turning this real to fake is they got some injury issues as well. Frey Peralta, it's looking like he's gonna miss significant time with a shoulder
Mm,
injury.
that hurts.
Yeah, it does because they have a deep rotation. But man, he was having a great year too. But I still think Brandon Woodruff, he's starting to show that he's putting it together. He needs to get back to that Cy Young contending pitcher. If he can, I think they'll be in fine shape because Josh Hader, he's having another lights out season. It's kind of insane the numbers he's putting up, man. And also aside from that, Hunter Renfroe, who was having a hot season this year as well, just got on the IL. So you gotta hope they could oversee these injuries as well. The only reason I think they won't have to worry is because, like we've said, their division doesn't seem like it's too much of an issue. But yeah, man, that's it for this week in baseball. It hasn't been a crazy week this week in football at all, which is a little disappointing to me. The most exciting thing I saw is all this Giants training camp, but I'm not going to get into it. If you guys want to tune into that, tune into the Big Blue Bodega. Me and Jake are going to definitely get into a little rant or something. We're going to put something together because I don't know if you've seen. We'll get into one thing. I don't know if you've seen the clip of that catch Wando Robinson made today, where it was an insane deep bomb and then it was a dive and everything.
Yeah, Danny Dimes.
It was a good throw. It was a great catch.
It was a wobbler. It was a wobbler.
That's why it was a good throw.
The receiver made the quarterback there.
See, here's the thing. The one thing I took from the entire video is when you saw Wando Robinson grab the ball and get up, he is such a tiny man, dude. You could tell how small he is. I was like, oh no. He ain't no 5'11". Who said he was 5'11"?
He's 5'9" after stretching and putting on cleats.
He's barely 5'8". But man, other than that, let's save this for a Big Blue Bodega. Other than that, man, as always, it was a pleasure, Jacob.
It's always a pleasure, my friend.
Any last words you want to say to the fans?
To all the fans, the casuals, family, please like, follow, subscribe. Let us know what we're doing wrong, what we're doing right. Holler at us, please. We'd love to know.
Please. And also, please follow me on Twitter. I am almost at 300, I think, 400. Either way, I need like 6 more followers. So let's make it happen, guys.
Let's get them there, guys.
Please. Hey, we getting there. To the moon, baby. To the moon.
To the moon.
That, Jake, as always, I'll talk to you later this week.
Yes, sir.
Big Blue Bodega. See us next week. We'll talk about some football then. Peace.